Hello everybody, Todd here, All Things Archery and Shooting, and welcome to part 2 of my review of this Omega Royal Huntsman Longbow. This bow was built for me by Kegan McCabe out of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. And we're going to be testing the bow today on the range. We're going to be testing across this chronograph for velocity. I'll be using two types of arrows. I got one arrow here, which is a 450 spine arrow. It's 30 inches long. It comes in at 404 grains, okay? That'll be about 8 grains per pound of draw weight. And then I have a 630 grain arrow, almost 635, between 630 and 640, let's say 635. This arrow comes in at right about 13 grains per pound of draw weight. And we're gonna shoot it across this chronograph, see how fast these two arrows move. So first we'll shoot the 8 grains per pound of draw weight, the 400 grain arrow. So without further ado, let's get started and see how this bow performs. Okay, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna be shooting across this the Pro Chrono Pal here. We're gonna shoot the first arrow. This arrow here is a 450 grain spine arrow. Comes in at 404 grains. It's 30 inches long. Runs a 100 grain point up front. Standard insert. 4-inch turkey feathers in the back. We're gonna shoot 6 arrows across this chronograph. This arrow comes in at right about 8 grains per pound of draw weight. Here we go. The chronograph's about 10 foot in front of the target. I'm going to be about 10 foot in front of the chronograph. So here we go. First arrow. 185. Second arrow. 188. Third arrow. 191. Fourth arrow. 190. Fifth arrow. 189. Sixth and final arrow. 165. Okay. All right. I'm gonna shoot one more. I don't like that 165 reading. Just shoot one more just to make sure. I think that's a false reading. Here we go, 190, okay. All right, looking at about 190 feet per second for the 400 grain arrow. It's about 8 grains per pound of draw weight. Now let's reset this. And we're gonna shoot the 630 grain arrow. These are between 630 and 635 grains. These are a 450 spine. Actually, sorry, these are a 400 spine arrow. They are 30.5 inches long. They have a 100 grain brass insert in them, and they got a 150 grain point on the front. Let's see what these do. Okay, next on our list is going to be the 635 grain arrow. This arrow is 30.5 inches long. It's a 400 spine. This arrow uses a 100 grain brass insert and a 150 grain point up front. 4-inch turkey feathers. Reset our gauge. Okay. I'm gonna shoot 6 arrows across this now. All right. First arrow. 167. Second arrow. 166. Third arrow. 167. Fourth arrow. 168. Fifth arrow. 167. Sixth and final arrow. 166. Okay, so what did y'all think about the speed portion of this review? I found the bow pretty respectable in speed. I mean, you've got 190 feet per second for a 400 grain arrow coming across the chrono. That's moving pretty well right there. And then you got a 635 grain hunting weight arrow moving across that chrono at a very respectable 168 feet per second. So yeah, this bow is definitely clocking them out. It's moving. Next is going to be the accuracy part. We're going to use this Morel's target of mine. This is an actual size of a boar hog. I got a yellow circle, it's a 3-inch diameter circle right here. We're going to step back 20 yards, try to put 5 arrows in this circle, okay? Let's see what we can do. 20 yards. Okay, it's my 20-yard group, about maybe 1.5 inches, 20 yards. I had one flyer over here, just made this outside the orange circle. I'm not sure what happened there. It could have been my release or something, but we take this one out of the equation. I basically got 4 arrows touching right there at 20 yards. That's some good shooting with that bow. All right, let's step off 30 yards now and try the same target at 30 yards, okay? See how it does at longer distances. All right. Yeah. Bow is a little bit loud though. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera. I'm 20 yards back. The camera's about maybe 10 yards in front of the target. I'm about 20 yards or 10 yards past the camera at 20 yards from the target. And you can definitely hear a distinct twang. It's quite loud, this bow. So I'm pretty sure with some signs that'll quiet up real quick. But let's step back to 30 yards and see how she shoots. All right, 30 yards coming up. Okay, 30 yards. I got 3, 4. I got 4 in the 3-inch circle, and this 5th one down here is just outside the 3-inch circle. So you take this one out, that's a 3-inch group at 30 yards. That's respectable shooting there. I think that bow shoots really well. All right. I have noticed a little bit of loudness on this bow, a little bit twanging on it. So hear that? I know it's gonna need some string signs on. The other signs are down quite a bit. But let's go and shoot some more on my 3D bear target over here, and I'll get you a up close view of me shooting the bow so you can see the tilt of the bow, how it draws back and everything. Let's do that now. Okay, we're down here at 20 yards. I'm aiming for that 3D deer target down there. Here we go. Okay, looks like I gotta cut my grass, but there's my, and the grass needs to cut, but there's my 20-yard mark right there, if you can see it. 20 yards, that's where I was just shooting from. Let's run down there to that deer target, okay? Okay, this is that last target I shot. As you can see there, it's 20 yards, all within the kill zone. Let's get it where it's supposed to be at. Okay. As you can see, got 5 arrows, pretty much 2-inch group right there, 20 yards on this deer target here. Okay. So the bow will shoot. All right. Let's go inside and get my. All right. So my final thoughts. We'll head inside right now. Give my final thoughts on this bow, and we'll wrap this review up. Okay. Let's head inside. Hello everybody, Todd here, All Things Archery and Shooting. I'm going to talk about my final thoughts on this Omega Royal Huntsman Longbow built by Kegan McCabe. So let me tell you what I think about this bow. First off, I love the way the bow shoots. It's very light in hand, it's very accurate. There's no shock whatsoever on this bow. I love the way it shoots. I mean, it's a little bit loud. I think that could be corrected with some string silencers. But it seems to handle really well and shoot really well, at least in my hands. And I mean, I really like the bow. It's my first custom longbow, like I said. I'm really going to enjoy this bow. I love everything. I mean, I love the buckskin. They call this buckskin, I believe it's called, on this riser color. And I just like everything about the bow. The brown glass is kind of reminiscent of the old Fred Bear polar bows and Alaskan bows. So, and I'm an old guy, you know, so I kind of like the old school stuff. This bow reminds me a lot of an old school bow. Okay. Now what I don't like about the bow, there's a couple things I don't like about the bow, I'm going to be honest with you. First thing, I don't like these knock-ins. I think they could be made longer. They're very small, and you got to be real careful when you set your string on this and string this bow, otherwise you'll miss that knock-in. So I think, Kegan, if you're listening, maybe the next bow you build, we make a little bit of longer knock-in, kind of like a traditional American flat bow. And I don't like that little bitty rest there. I'm going to be swapping that rest out. I don't care for that rest too much. I'm actually getting some contact on the rest here on the riser, so it really doesn't give you much arrow movement. I can see a little contact from the arrows on the riser here. So I'm definitely going to be changing that rest out. And I didn't like the string it came with, which I'm not a big fan of them endless loop strings. So I built this Flemish twist fast life string for it. All right. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to rate this bow on my 6 criteria. Rate all my bows on. Those 6 criteria being quality. Specification of the bow, how close the bow meets the specifications. Shootability, how quick I can pick the bow up and get on target with it. Speed of the bow, how fast the bow is, okay. Next is going to be how quiet the bow is with no string silencers at all on it. And last but not least is the value. So let's start with the quality of the bow. First off, Kegan makes a very fine bow, except for the few things I point out. The smaller knock-ins I'm not too keen about, and the rest. But I'm sure some people might like that, but for me personally, I prefer a longer knock-in, and I prefer a different rest on here, like more of a hair rest. Because like I said, I am getting some contact on my riser here, on my radius shelf. Otherwise, the bow is a beautiful bow. There's no glue lines on the bow at all. There's no sanding marks on the bow. I don't see any glass separation. I don't see anything. I don't see any overruns for the overspray when they put the finishing coat on it. So the bow is very well built, and Kegan does a really good job on this. So I'm going to give the bow a quality. I'm going to give it a 9 for quality. All right, specifications of the bow. Now, all fairness, bow it's written on here 50 pounds at 29.5 inches, which is my draw length. It's not quite 50 pounds. It's 49.6 at my draw length of 29.5 inches. But in all fairness, Kegan told me this bow was going to be a little bit light when he made it. And he did offer to make me a new bow, but I told him I'm not worried about half a pound or a pound of weight, and no sense in ruining a nice blank for a bow. Just continue going. So I'm not going to fault him for that. It is a handmade bow. It's kind of hard to get the weight exact what it's saying. He probably should have listed, instead of listing 50 pounds, he probably should have wrote 49 pounds there. Been more accurate. But I mean, I can't fault him for that. The bow is a 60-inch AMO. It measures, it's right on the money at 60 inches of AMO. And the bow, I mean, at my 29.5-inch draw, it comes in right where he said it would. So, I mean, everything about the bow he said with it is correct. The brown glass on it, the 2 layers of hickory inside, so all that matches. So for specification of this bow, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm not going to fault him on that half a pound of weight difference. All right. Shootability of the bow. When I first picked this bow, I was kind of nervous about shooting it. Reason being because I wasn't sure how these knock-ins would hold up being so small. I was afraid a full draw the string might pull off, but that didn't happen. And I was able to get on target with the bow very quickly and shoot the bow very quickly and get accurate with it very quickly. As you saw from the range session, this bow out at 20, 30, and 40 yards is quite accurate. And I guarantee that if I tune a set of arrows, when I haven't tuned a set, I grab some arrows out of my batch of arrows back here just to use on this bow. But I guarantee if I tune a set of arrows for this bow, I can probably get this bow even more accurate, okay? There is no hand shock on the bow. There's no string. There's a little bit of string oscillation when you shoot it, but that can be corrected with some string style. We'll get to more of that when we get to the quietness of the bow. But I was really surprised. There's very little hand shock, I mean, if any. And usually long bows, even American flat bows, like this is more of an American flat bow or hybrid reflex deflex design, usually get some string shock. I mean, some bow shock, but I got no bow shock at all with this. I was really impressed. I do like the way the grip feels. It fits my hand just right. And I was able to shoot the bow very well. So shootability, I've got to give it another 9. I mean, it's really a great shooting bow. Okay. Speed of the bow. I mean, the speed of the bow, it's not the fastest bow I've shot. I was expecting a little bit more speed out of it. But I mean, for 190 feet per second, I'm sorry, it came out to 189 feet per second for a 400 grain arrow. And it came in at 167 feet per second for a 635 grain arrow. Those are very respectable speeds. But there are a couple bows I've tested prior to this that are faster. One being the Black Hunter bow, another being the McCabe bow, which, I mean, I still haven't come across a bow as fast as that bow. For a $60 bow, it can punch arrows out at 195 feet per second from a 45-pound bow at 10 grains per pound of draw weight. That is a pretty impressive speed. So, it's probably this, for a longbow, it's probably the second fastest longbow I have. It just barely edges out the Black Hunter. I went back to my notes. I looked at my Black Hunter speed. My Black Hunter with the same 50-pound bow was pushing 188 feet per second for a 414 grain arrow, a little bit heavier, not much. And for a 610 grain arrow, it was pushing about 165 feet per second. So it just barely edged out the Black Hunter. But the Candle Cane still's got to be, that's still the fastest bow I've tested on all my bow reviews. So for speed, I'm going to have to give the bow, I mean, because it's the second fastest bow, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 for speed too. For a long bow, it's really fast. All right. Now, quietness bow, this is where I'm a little disappointed. The bow is not quiet at all. It's extremely loud, and there is some string oscillation when you finish shooting, okay? And I'm sure that can be corrected with string silencers, but to be fair, I've tested all my bows without string silencers, other bows that are much quieter than this one. This one is quite loud. So I'm going to have to give this a little bit of a ding on the loudest, and I say that's nothing against Kegan or the way he builds a bow. I think it's just the design of the bow. But I think with some string silencers, that'll bring it right back up where it needs to be for quietness. So for quietness, I'm going to give it a 7 for quiet, okay? Because it's really not that quiet. It's kind of loud. You heard it on the camera there. It was quite loud. The value of the bow, Now the value of the bow is this bow retails for $695, and there's like I think it's $25 shipping, so like $720 shipped to your door. That for a custom built, handmade longbow is an extremely good value. Most bows in this category that are hand built and custom built to your specifications are going to run you $1,000 or more. So I mean, for Kegan to be able to build these bows for $695, this being his top of the line bow, I mean, the value is right there. I've got to give it quite a value. I mean, not a lot of people can afford a $700 bow. I understand. That's why they have the things like the $150, you know, Black Hunter bow, or the $100 ABS bow, or the $65 Canon K. Those are all great bows. They all shoot well, and the value is way up there on that one. So value of this bow, I'm going to give it an 8 on value. Okay. All right, which out of a 1 out of 10 is really high. I mean, I have no problem paying the money for this. I think it's worth every penny. This $695 is worth every penny on this bow, and I really like this bow. This is probably my favorite longbow that I have now. And I've got several. I've got a couple bears. I've got a Mandarin duck 2-piece takedown that I love also. But I think overall, the more I shoot this bow, once I get a set of arrows, you know, tuned for this bow, I think it's going to become my go-to bow going forward. It's a really nice bow. It shoots really well. It's a 49-pound weight, which doesn't feel that way, which when I pull the bow and draw it, I mean, there's no stacking at all. It doesn't feel like I'm pulling 49 pounds. It feels almost like a 40-pound bow, honestly. I'm not going to lie to you. And there's a couple times I had to double check when I was on the Ranger. I didn't show you that in the video, but a few times it felt so light to me, I had to bring out my scale and check it, and it's still registered 49 pounds. So, I mean, he builds a really good quality bow. And I gotta say, these hickory limbs, first time I've shot hickory limbs in a laminated series like this. I've shot silk bows in hickory, but these hickory limbs, they are quite fast. They're probably not as fast as a bamboo, but I think they're faster than a maple limb. So I gotta say, hickory is the way to go on these kind of bows. I really like it. All right. Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been the review on the Omega Royal Huntsman 60-inch longbow. This bow is 29.5 inches. Draw length, and my draw weight is 49 pounds on this bow. It's a great bow, except for the few minor things I talked about earlier. You really can't go wrong with this bow. If you're looking for one of these bows, I'm going to put Kegan's website link in my description. Just click over there or just give him a call. He picks up the phone when you call, which is really most of your, I mean, for a custom bower to actually pick up the phone and take time to talk to you, that means a lot to me. I mean, he's very knowledgeable, and he'll listen to what you need, and he'll build you a bow just the way you want it. So I suggest that if you're interested in one of these bows, give him a call. He is running about a 4 to 6 week lead time, at least last I checked. It might be a little bit longer or a little bit less, but your best deal is to get a hold of him and talk to him about it. But I promise you, get a hold of one of these bows, you'll like it as much as I do too. All right. Well, this has been Tyler, All Things Archery and Shooting. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And stay tuned also for my bonus feature in this video. Something I'm doing new. I got about a 2.5 minute bonus footage for you. I want you to watch. So it'll roll right after this, right after I close out here. So be sure to look for that, okay? Again, this has been Tyler, All Things in Archery. Until next time, y'all. Ciao. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of bonus footage, something I don't normally do, but I'm gonna step off 40 yards just because I like the way this bow shoots, and aim right here on this target at 40 yards and see what we can do. All right, here we go, 40 yards. Well, there you have it, 40 yards, guys. Probably maybe a 4.5, 5-inch group. A little bit high, that's probably because I was holding my elevation so high, but that's a 40-yard group. Again, these arrows are not exactly tuned for this bow, so once I get a set of tuned arrows for this bow, I think it'll shoot a lot better. But so far, I am really impressed with the way this bow shoots. It's accurate, has no hand shock, so, all right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that bonus footage at 40 yards. I don't normally shoot that distance because I try to keep my distance under 30 when I'm hunting. But I got so much confidence in this bow here, I'm going to do some more practicing at 40. I think I can get that group even tighter. But still, a 40-yard group with about a 5-inch, cover your hand with it at 40 yards. I can't complain about that shot group. All right, thank you for watching. It's been taught all things archery and shooting. And until next time, ciao.